Yes, I was born in Cincinnati in 1947. I grew up in a family of my mother, father. I had a sister who was 6 years my elder. Then there was me, and then there were two other brothers, so there was a set of four of us. Indeed, I attended Wittenberg University in Springfield, Ohio. Wittenberg at the time was a predominantly white university out of about a little less than 2,000 students. There were 12 African Americans on campus, including the six of us who had arrived as members of the class of 1969. By the time that I was in my junior year, I should say, as a history major, I was getting a very rich history in European history, Russian history, United States history. But the question of African American history as a curriculum was being raised. Now, by that time, the catalytic moment, if you will, would be April of 1968, and the news came that Martin Luther King had been assassinated. That is, we would say, the king had died. That set loose all kinds of questions and all kinds of concerns. Who had killed them? Was this a government conspiracy? Was it white racism? And all of a sudden, a sense that you had as an African American, regardless of the friendships that you had with white students on campus, there was a sense that just doesn't matter now. You looked at white people and you said to yourself, did you kill Dr. King? Oh, of course you knew this person hadn't, but they represented something that was very troubling for us as African American students. As the focus began to turn to what we would do ultimately on campus, we had a march that would go throughout the whole campus. We began shortly to meet thereafter to begin to discuss the crises, the greater problem of race. Began to do some reading, and in the spring of 1968, we developed an organization called Concerned Black Students. As we returned to campus in the fall of 1968, we began to talk much more in a much more focused way about how we would mobilize around changes that needed to take place at Wittenberg University. That we would organize these concerns into a set of 10 demands, and that we would present them to the university. We marched en masse to the main university administration building. We indicated to the university that we would be leaving Wittenberg until such time as we had received a sufficient response to our demands. We marched back across the campus. We boarded cars and headed off for a 6-mile journey to Antioch College in Yellow Springs, Ohio, where we stayed for the duration of that time. Negotiations were taking place, and at the end of that week, in a meeting at the Urban League in Springfield, we came to an agreement. That was a very forming movement, or a very shaping and formative event surely in my life, and I believe in the lives of many others, because from that point, the university did establish a programmatic outlook and embrace of the organization. And I derived from that several lessons. One, the power of organizing, the necessity of allowing the voice to speak. I was involved always in certain kinds of initiatives that were first of a kind, trying to establish an organization, trying to move a university, trying to create a department, trying to establish the first of a Black Lawyers Association, the first of a Black Studies, but always crafting a new terrain of challenge. so that my contribution, as I would look back, would be more in having entered the arena at a moment when the civil rights movement had come to a certain point and offered various opportunities, but had left the terrain somewhat barren of guideposts as to how to navigate, particularly when society is beginning to push back in so many ways. The advice that I would give, number one, follow your passion. Think of the greater, broader community. Always remember that the paths that you are laying are paths not only for yourself to succeed, but for generations that will come because of generations that brought you to where you are